1, 2, 3, 4, and hello everybody, TGIF. I think it's Friday. I can't believe we're here again, and I can't believe I'm here with my friend Jamie Olken. And I can't tell you, the worst part about being here with Jamie is I wish I was there with her, right there with her. But instead she's with us. We're gonna have an awesome day. I hope you all have had a safe, sane weekend. Week. Look at me, I'm already through the weekend. And one of the reasons Jamie's here is to talk to us about our sanity, which she herself is losing a little bit, but then, you know, we all start a little tilted. I want to start by just introducing how we got introduced, Jane. How did we meet? I want to hear your side of the story.
Okay, my version of it is we were at a conference for Generation W, and there was this amazing looking high fashion who was pacing back and forth and freaking out, worrying about everything, honestly. And I'm like, who is this woman? And I was getting nervous because I was worried that you were not ready to do this. And we're talking and I am just rolling on the floor laughing with you. And I'm like, who is this woman? You get up there after you sweat it for so long and you killed it. It was such a fantastic presentation. It was funny, it was cool, it was smart. And I said, okay, I like this woman, I gotta be friends with her. So we somehow spent the day, and if you remember, we spent the day with Dr. Edie also, who's a fabulous...
Do you know, I was thinking, I've got to get Dr. Edie on this thing. Dr. Edie Eggers, guys, is a woman who survived the Holocaust, who is not an angry woman, who is not a sad woman. She is a woman who coped with immeasurable loss in the most beautiful way I've ever seen. And my son was with us, and Jason sends his love to you. And Jason spent the day with, you guys all went golfing or something, and we stayed and took Dr. Eggers to lunch. I have never seen someone have such an impact on my son. Like, I spent, 20 some years trying to have impact. That woman in a lunch, amazing.
Well, you're not 94.
But that is how we met. Well, that's true. She's got some years on me. Somebody does, at least. And then, Jamie, one of the fun things that we did is we brought you came over to my studio, and I remember I said, come over, I'll give you some clothes, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, I don't know this woman all that well. Like, how do I handle this? So I remember saying to you, we can do this 2 ways, Jamie. I can just give you some nice clothes, or I can tell you what I think. And you said, oh, just tell me what you think. And so I did, because I filter so well. And Bo and I went at it. We had so much fun. Did that day change a little bit the way you see yourself and the way you dress?
So Bo was, I said, Bo, can I just take my clothes off? Like, do I have to like go in the closet or do any of that? Because I can't do all that. So he finally made me comfortable. He says, I could care less, which was not so nice, Bo. But so what it did was, it really did was it made me say yes to trying on things that I would say no to normally. And so I walked in with a huge cowboy belt, with a jean shirt and jeans and boots. And I was like, there's nothing that I walked out with, and including my beautiful Marla shirt that I'm wearing now, that I tried on different colors. I tried in different styles. I tried on things that, and the good thing about Marla's clothes is they fit perfectly. And so I had a blast. And then my modeling debut is a lifetime, I will remember this always. It was so much fun. So.
And you were so photogenic. Bo, do you have those photos? Can you bring those up? Like, I think I'm freaking, Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon here.
Hey.
Yeah, there she is. There's my girl. Everything we put on you was right. For you, you're kind of flowy on the top, skinny on the bottom. And we had so much fun trying things on with you and spending the day with you, because you're actually, you are a very beautiful woman. I always tell people, when people go, now, who is your friend Jamie? I'm like, Jamie's Bette Midler's humor kind of reminds me of Bette Midler, with a heart the size of, I don't know what state, Texas, I guess. I mean, I've been at events with Jamie, and we'll circle in now to the real purpose of why we're here today. I've been at events with Jamie because we're both part of this organization. And I will tell you, Jamie manages, I get very intimidated in large groups of people. I mean, you saw it, you saw that. I mean, I kind of cling to the people I know. I'm not good in large groups of people, oddly. I can speak to 2,000 people. I just can't deal with 2,000 people. You walk a room and you shake hands with and you engage every single person in the room. And I think that's what makes you a great therapist. And one of the things in preparing for this that you and I spoke about that I thought was so interesting is I asked you, and I'd like to ask you now, how being a therapist in this moment of time is different for you than being a therapist pre-COVID. And you talked about how you relate, and I'd love for you to just talk about that a little bit.
So, you know, this is the first time that I've ever done anything like this. I'm not that old to be part of the pandemic before this one. So it's really the first time that I really have no idea how many different feelings people have, how many different situations people have, how I am mimicking some of the same feelings. And so when somebody deals with a loss and I deal with a loss, it's very different, right? But this is pretty much the same. And so when I say to people, the only difference between me and you is that I'm going to try things quicker and differently, and I'm going to help you do that. And so I may be more instructive now where I'm not normally. I may come up with some strategies quicker because I don't think we have time to go through the process of this. I think we all have to try things fast. And so that's where it's very different. You don't have the luxury of time to work things out. People are really suffering.
This is a bit like raising kids. We don't have any rules for this. It's like one day we were in it. We asked a lot of the people who follow me, Jamie, for some questions, and I want to start with Lola. She said, could you please share some tips on anxiety? I myself have it at times, but need some guidance to help a loved one. I don't want to invade their space, yet I feel like I'm not doing enough for them. So much fear created in these past few months. Any suggestions, please?
Okay, so anxiety is something that anxiety and fear are relatives, right? And so it's very hard to know whether people are afraid or whether people are anxious, because we're all exhibiting very kind of similar body movements and also words. So my feeling is if you're talking about an adolescent or a teenager or even college age, is you have to be willing to be available when they're available, right? They're not going to be available when you're available. For adults, even adult children and adults, I think that you have to come up and communicate with what your needs are. So and I don't know who she's speaking about. I didn't hear who the person was that she's talking about.
She didn't say.
So anxiety is something that when the other person is there to help, they cannot exhibit the same anxiety. And so if I'm really feeling angst, I can't be helpful to you. And so as a therapist, what I'm doing, and I think other people, you don't have to be a therapist to do this, is move. Don't keep sitting in your own angst. Get up and move. Whatever your physical ability is, do it. If your loved one is really struggling and you see them, you can say that. To me, it appears that you're really struggling today. I'm here if you need me. I don't want to invade your space, but I want you to know that I'm here. And I've learned that.
So it's really letting someone know you're present.
I think we all have to be present, Marla. I think that is the most important thing right now, is you got to be in the moment now. I can't think about, I know we had this discussion, but I can't think about September right now. I got to think about right now because that's all I can handle.
Yeah, we did talk about this because you know, the Chinese have a saying, may you live in interesting times. This is an interesting time. It's a tragic time. I'm very, very fortunate. You're fortunate. We're very lucky people through this. But I will say that we are living history. We are living a moment in time that probably in our lifetime, you know, the only really comparable thing was probably like, you know, things like Oklahoma City or 9/11. But this is something that we share with every breathing human on this planet, which is quite extraordinary. I don't think there's been an event in the history of the world that the whole world is sharing, which brings me to Patty, who wrote, what can we do from home to combat the hatred expressed in Minneapolis by the killing of George Floyd? She says, it has really affected myself and obviously so many people in a time where we're supposed to be supporting one another. There have been over 100,000 people who have died in 3 months, and these senseless acts of hatred are scary, as I was hoping we would come to a place where we appreciated everyone more. Am I delusional in this hope? Any suggestions?
Okay, so I think I heard the question, but it was very hard. So I think she was talking about Minnesota, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Okay, so I don't know if anyone heard this, but the police officer that was manslaughter, third degree manslaughter, murder and manslaughter, you know, I think I'm going to bring this whole conversation together about being active and being kind and being thoughtful about other people, not only ourselves. It's so easy to go inward when we're frightened or anxious or scared. So I just had a cousin who just is turning 25, and I just donated to the Minnesota Freedom Fund literally half an hour ago because that was what she wanted for her birthday. And this is a 25-year-old kid. She could have whatever she wants, but that's what she wanted. So I think that being kind to other people, being kind to ourselves, that is a huge thing. I have an arsenal that I really use, that I start my day off being grateful that I can help myself, that I can really think about myself, that I can think about others. I really have to ground myself. And how do you ground yourself? You have to decide what is feeling. So the woman who talked about anxiety, you know, sitting together at dinner and holding hands and saying, I am grateful that we have this beautiful meal together. I am grateful for having to have dinner. It's about, can you do deep breathing to slow your heart rate down? Are you having a heart attack? I don't know, but I know if we deep breathe and we slow things down, we could surely see if it's anxiety. You know, nobody should have to guess. So if you think you're having chest pain or you think you're really struggling with a medical issue, it's 911. But if not, deep breathe. Take a second. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to people.
I do wonder, though, I think Patty's question is really viable. And I think that people are starting to get very angry. And I think, you know, I'm not optimistic about the short term. It's funny, I had my friend Nona Hendricks on the show a few weeks ago, and Nona said, I said, do you think things will change? She goes, no, people are stupid. And I thought, well, no, that's not very nice, Nona. But actually, I hope we learn. I pray we learn. But I don't know if we'll learn. I hope so. But what went on in Minneapolis, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, it's just so not okay. Joyce writes, my husband has several I'm sorry? No, go ahead. Go ahead, James.
Everywhere. So it's our responsibility is to call yourself out on things that you do that is wrong and learn and change. And it's all about being vulnerable right now. We're very vulnerable, and this is just another way of being vulnerable and calling ourselves out when it's wrong.
You know, I think what's happened to me over the past 10 years really prepared me to do well through this. I definitely changed over the past 10 years. And one of the things that changed is I stopped worrying what other people think, and I started worrying about what I think. And it makes me completely free in front of the camera. It makes me very easy. It sometimes makes me a little unfiltered, and maybe it makes me not so easy for some people. But it taught me that what really counts is if I don't get this stuff together, and I don't mean how I look, but I mean my headspace, if I'm not happy, if I'm not okay, if I'm not grounded, I'm useless to other people. It really is like when you're on an airplane, put the mask on yourself first and then help others. Joyce Parks has asked us, her husband has several pre-existing medical conditions and works from home. As things open up in her state, his anxiety about being exposed to the virus is real, but he sometimes kind of over-exaggerates a bit. Can you offer suggestions on how to be supportive with him, help him re-enter despite his fears, because apparently that is what he's going to have to do?
So I think that we're all going on this kind of wave where we have waves of real days of angst, and we have days that we feel okay. When you have a pre-existing medical condition and you're older, that's all they keep telling you, is that you're the ones that are in danger. So you got to be understanding. You have to be understanding that he's frightened. You also have to understand what happens if you get sick. How often do you take your temperature? Who do you have to go to? Do you have somebody to go to if you're sick? And
well, this is her husband, and she's worried that she's not supporting him enough. You know, we have several people in our company who have cancer, and even though we're hoping that we can, on a very limited basis, bring people in, 2 days a week, different people at different times. We have 2 people who have had cancer in our company. They will not be coming in anytime soon, and we don't want them to. It's our act of love and respect to them. But I can understand how hard it is for a wife to see her husband exhibiting real fear. How do you support your husband? Because I don't care how far we've come, baby, men still want to be men. And when they're scared, it's hard for them. So how do we support them in their moments of vulnerability?
So again, fear is fear. And so if somebody is scared of dying or being sick, then the way you support them is you acknowledge what their fear is. You cannot say, I promise you I'm going to protect you, but you can say, I am here to take your temperature, to help you get medical care. These are the things that tell me what you think if you get sick. What do you want from me? And some people don't want to be touched right now, and some people do want to be touched. So in my opinion, it's communicate. Ask somebody what they want. Do you want me to help you? You look really frightened. Or do you want to you just need a day to freak out? What do you need?
So James, I'm going to turn the camera on you for a moment, because I know, because we talk and we're friends, that you've been struggling. Because you are usually happy and up, and I said to you, how are you feeling right now? And you said, I'm sad. And you also said, I'm driving my family crazy and they're driving me crazy. So I think, and I was like, wait, Jamie, that's not you. You're my happy friend. And I realized I had put you in a happy box. Like, oh, call Jamie when you're bummed out, because she lives in a happy box. And when I opened that box and it was like sad Jamie, I was like, it was really interesting. I felt you had given me a gift, because you let me see your sad box. You let me see more of you. But it was really like a surprise. And I think a lot of families are struggling with confronting one another, because even husbands and wives don't spend 24/7 together. And then you add the kids on top of it. And I'm surprised people are killing themselves, because it's hard, right?
But Marla, what's most important is that being sad is real, and you've got to be real right now. And that doesn't mean that you're not functioning, and it doesn't mean that you're not working, and it doesn't mean that you're not doing things. But what it means is that I want to spend time understanding why I am sad. And so I can be vulnerable to a friend who I trust you're not going to hurt me when I tell you I'm sad. Or I could be vulnerable to somebody so that I can get the love, the support, the ear. You know, a lot of times we're putting masks on our face, and sometimes we have to put masks on our ears because we're spending so much time with family that we don't normally spend time with. And although it's fantastic and I am grateful that I can do that, it's a long time to not be able to go out. So, and I said to you last night, I said, you know, at the end of the day, I like to go walking, or I like to go do something, even if it's 10 o'clock at night, because that's why I live in a city. And so you can't do that. You have to protect myself and protect people. So I think you have to tolerate people expressing themselves and not making judgment about them, but enjoying the intimacy of it. I think intimacy, maybe that's the woman who asked about her husband. Maybe this is a good time to have intimacy differently around his feelings. Maybe he's never
that's a very vulnerable place. That is a very intimate place. When you're wounded, it's a very intimate place. Another one of our friends, Maxine, asked, do you think older adults will ever be able to live a semi-normal life again? I feel threatened by everything. So Maxine is just scared about everything right now.
So without getting into politics, so don't push me in that direction, because I want this to be fun and lively. I think that what's happening is that we're winging it. And we could wing it with kids. When we're bringing up kids, we wing it all the time. And we only see the failures that we do over a period of time. With this, you're winging it, but you don't have any information. And so we have very little guidance on what to do. So people that are not risk takers won't take risks, even if it's an intellectual risk. And so I was wearing a surgical mask because in February, I was with people that said, this stuff is coming. So I did my Amazon to China to get masks, and I got not the N95, but I got the KN95, which was not the N95. So I didn't even know what right mask to get. And I wore it and I realized how uncomfortable I was. And so I wear a bandana every day. It's part of my uniform. They're 20, 30 years old. I don't even know, because that to me doesn't make me scared, because when I am covered and I know that no droplet can get in my face or my eyes or my nose, I feel safe. That's just me. And so there's certain things I feel I'm looking forward to everything coming back. I heard June 8th, construction starts and buildings open. It just came out today. I'm ready. My family is socializing and they're ready. We have to be smart and safe. But I don't think
well, Max, what I want to say, Maxine, is that I have aging parents. I have older parents, and I will tell you that they've decided, my dad's approach to this is, I have lived my life and this is not going to get the best of me. So he has been running around going to his favorite restaurants because he has to have his waffles in the morning, and he's doing his exercise, and when he can, he gets out on the golf course and hits some balls at 80-9. Hello. And my mother is actually enjoying it because she doesn't have to say no to all the social obligations she didn't want to do in the first place. So I thought that was interesting. But speaking of parents, Joyce asked, a good friend shared with me today that her older parents just tested positive. I encouraged her to share how she is feeling and what she is able to do for them. I offered her support, but I wonder if you can share any specific ideas on how I can support my friend. Will you share some of your thoughts on how to do self-care and manage, again, anxiety, this anxiety thing? But particularly, what do you say to a friend who's gotten this news?
So
how do you be there?
Anytime an older person gets it, it's scary, because not everyone is like your mom, where they say, I'm gonna get tough and I'm gonna fight through this. Not everyone has that. I have an uncle who had a tiny bowel obstruction, tiny, and he died 24 hours later because he was isolated. He lost all his connections. He didn't have the strength to do this. So that's the reality of what it feels like to be an aged person when they've survived a lot of things. For a friend, I think a friend just needs to be heard. I think if a friend says, what should I do? I think you could brainstorm. I think when people test positive, not everyone dies from COVID. Not every old person dies from COVID. They need medical care. They need good medical care. They cannot be stubborn. When you say go, they have to go. And sometimes they don't want to go. But if people have the capacity to make decisions and they're competent to make the decisions, you have to respect the decisions. As a friend, you listen to that. You help them get people that you love either the right care, or you have to respect their decisions. And I think
in the beginning, it was really hard for us just to make sure that my dad has stage 4 cancer. So, you know, this is not like great news. And our biggest challenge, because my brother couldn't go see him, he hadn't been quarantined for 14 days, I'm in New York, was setting up an infrastructure of support for them. And I think you're right. I think you've got to just hear them. And I think one of the most valuable things you've said is no matter how anybody's dealing with this, we can't judge one another. We have to acknowledge whatever you feel, that is completely legitimate for you. Whatever your feelings are, those are your feelings. And the word should just can't cut, you should do this, you should do that. I just don't think that has a place in our conversation with the people we're trying to support. Joan wrote something I love because I kind of understand her. She said, being alone so long, I'm afraid it's going to be hard to re-enter the world and socialize again. I even find I don't want to talk on the phone too long. Am I becoming a hermit? How can I prepare myself to be my gregarious self again? I love that question, because there are days, Jamie. Well, the other night we were supposed to talk and I just sent you a text and I said, I'm toast. But I did do a TS on Tuesday and a TS on Wednesday, so I was legitimate toast. But as much as I love you, I didn't have the energy. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I ordered in through Seamless. I had dinner in bed and I woke up in the next morning. I just didn't want to talk to anybody.
So Marla, that's a very good point. You know, and I want to go over kind of things that you can do in general, but that's a very good point about, you know, if you have a crappy day and you're toasted and you really have had it, the nicest thing you can do for yourself is just rest. Just stop. It's okay. No excuses needed. Just be kind to yourself and say, okay, I'm done for the day. We're so insecure about taking care of ourselves and saying, I just need to chill out. I just need to not call Jamie back. And
but you know, I think Joan's got a really good point, because I think about, like, I'm a huggy, kissy, touchy feely person. And I'm going to go back out into a world that does not want my huggy, kissy, touchy feely, and I have to stay far apart, and I'm used to jamming myself like a sardine into the subway, and now I'm scared to get on the subway, and I don't want to take airplanes. And I used to people used to say to me, where do you live? And I'd say 4C JetBlue. And all of a sudden, I know that when they let us out of here, first of all, the entire Upper West Side, I tell everybody, the Upper West Side of New York, when they let us out of here and the hair salon's open, it's going to be like The Walking Dead. Because we're all going to have this gray hair, and we're all going to come out with claws because we need a mani and a pedi. Nobody's been to the dentist. It's true. Come on. And anyway, so I do think it's going to be tough.
I don't believe that. I think we're coming out of this. First of all, I think we're much stronger than we know. I think that we are all learning that we are much more capable than we ever knew about ourselves. And I can tell you that is personally true. I think I'm coming out as a better person, as a nicer person, as a stronger person. And the woman that is worried about being a hermit, I really believe that she needs help in understanding why she is so afraid to be that gregarious person again. A lot of people are thriving in the pandemic. Let's just be, people that are teaching their kids and people that have work, they're not commuting, they're not doing breakfast exactly on time. There's no schedule. They're having fun. They're hanging out with their kids. They're working, but they don't have to work 12 hours straight. They can work on a weekend. People are really digging no schedules. And so they feel guilty that they feel good in this. And so not everyone is going to feel the same way. Not everyone is going to love homeschooling their kids, and not everyone is going to hate homeschooling their kids. It has to be something, the woman who is afraid, it's about control and about fear. And the anxiety is all these feelings that we have not addressed. And that's why it becomes such an angst. When I first started this and I was washing my hands were raw. And I said, you know what? I don't want my hands raw, so I got to figure out a better way. This can't be it. And I did an experiment with myself on March 10th. And I said, I'm not going to touch my face. And 78 times later, I stopped counting, and it was only 2 o'clock. I'm not exaggerating. And I realize now that I really am very thoughtful about touching my face, because I watch myself. I watch myself now. I go for that touch and no, because that does make you safe. It's just an intellectual.
That is true. It does make us safe, but Ella Marie has a really valid question that just hits the spot right at this moment. How did I effectively handle a family situation where sisters and niece have voluntarily ongoing exposure COVID-19 higher risk, and thus cannot be around older, almost 80 parents, causing major tension and fights? So they are living their lives one way, she's living another way, and this is really causing some tension.
In the same house?
What? I don't know. She didn't say, let's see, I haven't been in stores for almost 3 months or around people. I go to the mailbox, mask and wash my hands for seconds, following CDC guidelines. I canceled my gym membership, and I need to ensure my priority is being able to be around my nearly 80-year-old parents who haven't been in stores or around people for 3 months since they are high risk. My parents and I canceled our beach house trip where we were slated to rent to be safe. My sister and niece are in darn near every store. I've seen proof, social media, of them removing their masks in stores. They're going on multiple beach trips around the corner, Disney when it reopens. They strongly believe the world is open and normal, safe again. The niece's fiance has worked in an office. So basically, the sister and niece are just snapping around and kind of being hurtful because I was being so cautious. And my parents and I drive to their driveway to sing happy birthday to each recently from far distance. This tense situation is causing unnecessary stress on us during this time. My sister and my niece just don't get it. That's a tough one.
So this is actually a lot more complicated than just one question, and that's something that I don't want to be cavalier about this, because that's a loaded family dynamic. So I don't want to be cavalier. It's too important. It sounds too sad. It sounds too hurtful. But what I do want to say about it is, this is not the time to dig up old stuff. This is not the time to be angry about old stuff. This is the time to be present. And it may be a time that you don't see each other. And it may be a time that one person is much more willing to take risks and the other people are not. And you have to respect that different people have different things. The woman who is worried about being a hermit, she's going to have to decide the other woman who was worried about being a hermit, her mental health is going to be compromised, no doubt about it. And she's going to have to decide whether or not she wants to be healthier and take risks. Now, the woman that's just talking about her niece and her sister and her parents, that's old stuff. And that's stuff that right now should not be played out.
So what you're saying, well, but it sounds like it's current stuff because the woman asking the question is observing everything she's supposed to be doing, and her sister and her niece are absolutely not doing those things. So I'm not hearing that she's saying that it's a past thing, James.
No, this is about control, Marla. You cannot control other people's actions, and you just because you have expectations doesn't mean other people share them. And so that's why I say it's old stuff. You can't duke it out who's in control. You have to decide, if I don't feel safe with you, Marla, hugging and kissing me, I'm going to ask you not to do it. And if you say I need to, I'm going to choose to not see you. And if we can't compromise on how to have a relationship right now, you have to respect people's differences, because we don't know how COVID is really, really transmitted, and we're doing, I think that we're getting better. We're knowing more. I don't see this forever at all. I see it getting better. I'm still going to wear my bandana. I'm still going to be thoughtful. I can't promise you I'm not going to hug people that, my little nephew. I miss my grandnephew. I miss him desperately. I want to hug him. I know I'm going to, and I hope I don't get him sick, and I hope he doesn't get me sick.
Jason, you just sent me a text on a question I'm trying to get onto my computer from Nancy. Can you, Bo, can you tell us what that question was so we can answer it? I'm trying to find this on my Facebook because I know more questions are coming in.
The questions come in from Kathy Kern. Her question is,
okay,
us sheltering in place alone, what is a good way to be kind to ourselves and battle the loneliness? What are ideas for helping ourselves on those down and blue days?
Good question. So one of the things is like Marla said, she's not used to me being sad. I've been sad a million times, but this is very different because I feel sad with all of you. And the first thing is I'm really nice to myself on the sad days. Exercise, I walk 25,000 steps a day. I do my sessions walking. I ask my patients to come with me on a walk where maybe we'll sit down somewhere and do FaceTime after we walk for a while. I laugh a lot. I've been watching a lot of podcasts and a lot of comedians. I think laughing changes my mood. I'm not drinking a lot. I'm not being very thoughtful about what I eat, but on those sad days, if I want ice cream, I am walking to the ice cream store. I really try to remind myself that I am very important right now, and I need to just take care of myself and nobody else at that moment. And if you don't have the luxury of just taking care of yourself and nobody else, if there's kids running around, you ask for help. Take an hour, take 2 hours, but don't allow yourself for more than an hour to sit there and just wallow in that. Acknowledge that you're sad. Ask why you're sad. Share your sadness.
I want to share what I've been doing to make me happy because I'm so freaking self-centered that I blame COVID on me, because after the last trip Bo and I took, we had been on like 5 or 6 planes. We'd been to a bunch of Chico stores. I'd been on air on HSN. I'd been to see my parents. And I said to him, I'd give anything just to be able to stay at home for a week or 2. So I think this is my fault. That's how self-centered I am. But I will tell you, right? Like, hello, the world revolves around my projections. But I will tell you something. And I thought about Dr. Eggers when this happened. I thought, I'm not freaking Anne Frank sitting in an attic. The Nazis aren't coming to get me. I live in a huge apartment on the Upper West Side of New York. I order seamless every night. And aside from the fact that I so badly need a manicure and my hair done, and I miss my family, and I miss hugging those little cheeks of yours, give me a little squish. I've been so creative, but I feel like I'm manic creative. Like I keep moving. My rugs are going to be worn out they're going to be worn out. Like I decided I'm getting rid of everything, because after this, I've seen my furniture more than I ever wanted to see it in my life. And I feel like a therapeutic shark. Like there's someone at my door. I got to go open the door. A therapeutic shark, because it's the only way that I stay sane. I have to keep moving. I really have to go get this. Sorry. Keep talking. Go ask some questions.
So everybody, that is called angst. That is Marla's angst, but that is definitely angst.
And Jamie,
So if you're really feeling like you're manic, or you're really feeling like you've got to move. It's okay. But don't allow yourself to wallow in sadness. And maybe you just need to rest. Maybe it's as easy as you just need to rest. But it is a creative.
Okay. Excuse me. I just have to say, my freaking green chef just arrived, along with about 10 boxes of samples for Q1. Like it never stops. You see what I mean? I'm like a shark. I can't stop. I got to keep going. I'm sorry I interrupted you. I'm back. Thank you.
No. We were just commenting on your mania is a little bit of angst. And so
yeah,
you gotta move.
Totally. Gotta move. I gotta move. That's how I cope. Bo, what else you got for us? I'm trying to read these comments and it's not happening for me. 143 comments, Jamie.
There's a question that's come in from Nancy. The question for Jamie: now that we're opening up everything here in Southern California, I'm feeling issues with trust. Will it just take time to regain trust that people I come into contact with are doing the right thing? I'm terrified that I'll come with an asymptomatic person.
Say the last line for me, please.
She's terrified that she'll come in contact with an asymptomatic person.
Okay, so she's right. She's going to come in contact with an asymptomatic person. That's true.
You will.
And
yeah.
You know, this whole discussion about control is the only thing you can control is yourself. And the only thing that you can control is your own behaviors. So if you're wearing a mask and you're coming in contact with somebody, you're covered. Wear a mask. Wear a mask for yourself and wear a mask for other people. It's respect. It's trusting. You don't just go to a nightclub on day one. Why don't you just call a friend and meet somewhere and enjoy an afternoon apart from each other, 6 feet apart, and just enjoy the afternoon together. Don't share a dipping bowl. Don't share a drink together. Just bring your own stuff and just enjoy the company. That's the first step. Don't jump into.
Jamie froze.
Sorry, am I there?
You're here, but Marla's freezing, I think.
Okay.
So you froze for a minute. For some reason, you're freezing up a lot. Yeah. Oh.
So the point is go slow. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So the point is go slow on re-entering. You don't have to re-enter the same speed as everyone else. So call a friend that you really miss and say, please meet me for a chat, and bring a beach chair, bring a blanket. Just start saying hello to each other. Trust comes back, I promise you.
Janet Allen just wrote, I'm shocked at some comments about I want to hug my grandchildren, and I will. COVID has taken more lives in the U.S. than the Vietnam and Korean War. Stay 6 feet apart, use hand sanitizers, wash your hands. Listen, everybody's going to make different choices. And one day in the beginning of this thing, so I do a thing with friends on the Upper West Side on Saturday or Sundays. We go for a walk in the park. I take Baker, who's my dog, and we go for walks 6 feet apart with our masks, blah, blah, blah. And I see these people running or on their bikes, and they're not wearing masks. And I got so angry that I started taking pictures of them, because I decided I'm going to post these pictures and I'm going to shame them. And this woman walks up to me and she says, are you taking pictures of me? And she was with 2 young children. I said, yes, I am. She said, why? And I said, because I'm going to post them. because apparently you haven't gotten the memo, right? Like, I was such a bitch, but I was like, I'm having such a problem with your choices because you've got these 2 young children and you're not protecting them and you're not protecting yourself. And then I realized, like,
But
I can't be out there policing the world, you know?
exactly. And so when I said, I really want to hug my great nephew, and I think I'm going to do it, you know, it's a feeling. It's not, I want you to know that this is how people feel. Whether we do it or not, it is not something, I don't want you to judge me on that. I want you to decide what you can control and where you feel safe. And so the woman that you,
Jamie, Adrian, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I cut you off. I didn't mean to.
The woman that you confronted about not wearing a mask, I want you to be nicer. And so
I know I was a bitch, Jamie.
Step away from her. She doesn't share the same values or the same, and if she feels, and she's not breaking a law, and so if you don't like it, you try to encourage, you try to educate people, but don't confront somebody, step away. This is not the time.
I know. I was a horrible person, but I was so angry because every night in New York, I mean, all I listen to, the only sound I hear are sirens. And every time I hear them, my heart breaks a little. Adriana said, Marla, I'm so thankful you're reaching out in this way. Jamie, I recoil when people are rude to me. What should I do? I just feel so terrified.
I think that make your audience smaller. If you feel like you're in a too big of an environment, start off much slower, much smaller. If you live in New York City, all these people are going to the reservoir. Why? There's too many people there. Don't go there. Go to 102nd Street and sit on a bench. It's beautiful. And so I think that we're all scared. I think everyone is saying the same thing. We want to control everybody. We're all scared. It's a pandemic that we are all winging it. We're vulnerable and we're insecure. And everyone is right about that. And so go back to yourself and say, what do you do to make yourself feel better? What do you do to make yourself feel safer? The woman whose husband is vulnerable and she wants to be a good partner, that's the first sentence that she says to him. I love you and I want to be a good partner. And so please tell me how I can do that for you.
You know, this leads right into Francine, who's saying that she feels really depressed. She said, my couch needs recovering and that depresses me. My cat is sick, probably cancer. I keep crying out of proportion. I don't know that he has cancer, but I feel like I'm going to bury him any day. The weather depresses me. Other days I can choose to be happier and then I'm fine, which is really wise of her. Other days I can choose to be happier. But some days nothing works to pull me out of my sad mood. I know you've had some sad moods, Jamie. You want to reiterate what the things are you've been doing to help pull you out of exactly that sadness?
Yes. And so I was the kind of person before this that I jumped out of bed and I couldn't wait for the day to start. I looked at my schedule. I was delighted who was going to be on my schedule. I knew what my nighttime playtime was going to be. And I'm a very happy person. And COVID hit and I was displaced and my adult children were, needing to work and I wanted them with us and my husband wanted them with us. So we really pulled together four adults together and a dog. And it was really fun in the beginning. And then everyone got sick of it. Not sick of each other necessarily, or maybe. And so what I decided was to take something from each of my kids and my husband on what I can add to my life. So my daughter, who's in the middle of transitioning into a new work, she started a business. In the middle of this pandemic, she starts a business and it's booming. It's called Speechless. She's writing speeches for weddings, which now are doing resumes and doing bios and doing social media. And she's doing all this stuff and it's rocking and rolling. my son just told me his company is #3 in the world right now as a startup. So things are happening and it's exciting and I'm learning from them. So I spend time listening to their excitement. And so I decided that I am a hyperactive person. I am full of piss and vinegar. And I decided to learn how to meditate because my 25-year-old son meditates every day. And I don't understand how he is so bloody calm. And so I did it. I lasted 2 minutes. I lasted 3 minutes. I'm up to 25 minutes. I meditate every single morning to ground myself and to
I don't even understand what that means.
It's all about just breathing, welcoming the day, allowing myself to just feel good about how I can relax, how I can breathe, no judgment, no discussions in my head. And the other thing is nobody has asked me about sleep. And before we end, I just want to talk about sleep. Okay, so sleep is a privilege. Sleep is something that we really need. It's like food and water. And we deserve to rest and we deserve to sleep. And so people have asked me when I've done this before that, what do I do? I can't sleep. I'm worried all the time. I'm ruminating, I'm spinning. What do I do? And I say, don't go to bed until you're ready to rest. Don't go near your bed until you are cleaned or whatever your ritual is before you're ready to go to bed. Decide that you're ready to rest and go to sleep. Give yourself that privilege of doing it. So if you want to do your thing and fool around or do whatever you want with yourself or somebody else, that's great, but that's not ready to go to sleep, right? That's ready to go to bed. So if you're really struggling with sleep, I want you to actually set up a thought in your head that says, if I'm worried about tomorrow, or I'm worried about my husband, I want you to write it down. Literally write it down so you tell yourself you're not going to forget to think about this tomorrow. So I'm going to think about, what I'm going to do tomorrow that I haven't had a chance all week to do to make me feel good and to share with friends or my family. The second thing is before you go to sleep, about a half an hour before, just tell yourself that you want to rest. Tell yourself that I'm going to think about my day. I'm going to write my list for the next day of what I'm worried about. But then I'm going to say, why is sleep important to me? And sleep is important to me because I get to feel totally at peace. I'm cozy. I know that I'm going to wake up now and put the blanket over me so that I can meditate for 15, 20, 25 now minutes. And I'm going to start my day feeling really grounded. If I'm sad, if I wake up sad, I am going to change my mood. So I may do an exercise. I may do something because I realized it's too hard to work sad. And so if I can change my mood by maybe something good to eat in the morning, maybe something that I can think about by myself, or maybe I could just put my sad aside. And if I can't, then I'm going to keep trying something. I'm not going to stop.
There is no playbook. And all I can tell you.
Writing one, Marla.
Right? You're writing one? Well, here's how I feel. I feel grateful that I am having the opportunity to experience something with all mankind. And it doesn't make it pretty all the time. And there have been moments where I'm a little panicking, a little tired of talking to myself. I can be entertaining, but I get bored with myself. There's only so much Baker and I can discuss. And Baker's my dog. And, but here's what I do know. In this short hour, I've been looking over here. We've had almost 200 comments, Jamie. So since we are edging on to 1 hour, which is our cutoff time because we could do this all night, I'm just wondering if you'd be willing to come back because I am finding from people that this is so meaningful to people. Once somebody just wrote that on air, I've been quoting you, talking about how you've said you got to get up in the morning, you put your face on, you put your clothes on, you make your bed, you do some of the things that are part of your old normal that fit in your new normal. And she said that, you know, she just finds herself crying a lot. And that the idea of being good to herself makes her cry. And I spoke to you a few days ago, and it was a bad Jamie day. It was a sad Jamie day. And I said to you, Jamie, I really want to end this on a happy note. And you said something that I loved. You always come through. You said, okay, I'll give you the happy note. Do you remember what it was?
No.
We will come out of this knowing ourselves better. We will come out of this stronger. And most of all, we will come out of this. The world has survived worse. And we will come out of this. And kindness is key. Being present is key. And I'm just hoping, Jamie, now at 208 comments and not enough time to answer all the questions, will you come back and visit with us again?
My pleasure, but I have to wear the same shirt because I don't have any clothes. This is the only clothes I have.
Well, then, damn it, Bo, send her a new shirt, would you? Jamie and I
so
are the same size, so it's very easy.
I'm giving everybody a hug. I want everyone to know that we can do this. And any questions, Marla, yes, of course I'll come back. But if there's anybody that needs a question, Marla, just call me and let's help.
All right. Ladies, I really didn't know if you would want to talk about COVID. I wondered if this would be like a big bummer for you. What I love is the heart, the affection, Jamie. You know, you are like, you're a contagion of the very best kind. And I think that, you know, I'm just so grateful that I went to, you know, it was wonderful to go to that conference, but you were, I say to people all the time when I talk about you, or they flash you up on the screen on HSN, I say, Jamie was my favorite friend acquisition of 2019. Like, you were it. You were the friend that I got in 2019. You are the friend that has been there for me during COVID. And yes, ladies, I'm looking at a country house so I can escape New York, and Jamie will be my first invite. So I want to thank you, Jamie, for your time. I want to thank all of you. Have a safe, healthy, sane weekend. And we will get Jamie back here as soon as we can. Meanwhile, on Monday, I'm going to treat you to some of my favorite things. So I'll see you then. Goodbye.
Thanks, Marla.